It was during a scene of a great many army people, Irish army, whatever it was, or English army, I forget the scene. But we utilized a lot of material that was absolutely authentic flutes from museums, authentic drums, and so on and so forth. And it was very easy, you know. I mean, I've, after all, recorded some very avant-garde music that's very difficult, and this was a cinch. We did 105 takes on this thing, and take 2 was perfect. And the orchestra looked at me, and I looked at them as though we're dealing with an insane person. Because he would say, well, this was like a third of a second off, and even if it was, it didn't mean anything, because it wasn't like a kind of a Mickey Mouse thing or a click track thing. It wasn't a march or anything, it was a background. And 105 takes, and finally, I threw down the baton, ran into the thing, and grabbed him by the neck and wanted to throw him through the window, and everyone started laughing there, kind of nervously, and he said, you're crazy. And I said, well, you've driven everybody crazy. That's the problem.
We had discussions about the elusive quality of perfection, because down by take 75, a host of other things start going wrong. The tape finally gives out that held something onto the wall, and entropy takes over. We're all growing older, you know, so this search is extraordinary. He never gives up.
He knows more than anybody about the making of a film. And I don't know about humanity. I don't know about what he knows about relationships between people and so on and so forth, because I haven't seen anybody with whom he had a real relationship. He just was either a kind of an enslaver in some way, or just totally insensitive.
I go in one day and there's a huge carousel, which is all these files, you know, and it was sort of like one of those things, you know, with postcards at the seaside. And I went, wow, this is an amazing thing. It was so ugly right in the middle of the room, you know. I said, wow, Stan. He said, oh, this is great. He used to get very excited about things. He'd say, okay, ask me a question. What do you want to see? I said, I don't know. He said, how about you want to see stills of P&M's flat, your flat, in Clockwork, right? Okay. He swings it around, takes out the file, opens it up, nothing. He goes over to the intercom. Margaret, get in here. Of course, it's the human element. I'm afraid poor old Stanley still has to work with human beings. You see, and it's kind of, I think it kind of pisses him off, you know, a bit. That there's this human element. If he could eliminate that, he could probably make the perfect movie.
I'm not sure he believes in people. I'm not sure he believes in personal relationships. I don't think he believes in women. I don't know that he believes in family. I don't think he believes in country. I can't think of other things he might believe in, but I don't think he believes in them. I think he believes in intelligence. Now, that's a real cul-de-sac when you're making a movie. If there is something in the notion that a movie is always going to get out of control and make a fool of intelligence.
Well, get us in there first, and then you lead. If that's true, Jack will come in from this end and stop over here.
Yeah.
What you saying?
Okay. And yeah, he'd run past in that direction.
Lead us in first. Come in.
You want Danny in first?
Yeah. Now we take the 25 in your pocket or something, because I don't know what lens we're going to want. Right?
Is it?
The 18 on the camera, the 25 in your pocket.
We'll bring Jack straight in, Stanley.
And the 14.5 in somebody else's pocket.
One of the real problems was to cut that umbilical cord, which I found almost impossible to do, because I suppose I was in love with the man.
Do it right now. Come on. Get him in. Let anybody do it, Brian. Just get him in. Let him realize we're out of time.
Cold, linear, obsessed with microscopic detail.
He's fixated, he's diabolical, he's self-indulgent, he's a master.
An intellectual.
Magician.
Genius.
Genius dash shit.
Genius? No. No. Michelangelo's a genius. John Ford is a genius, perhaps. Stanley, I think what stops him from being a genius, for me, is this lack of humanity. It's this withdrawing, this brilliant, yes. Extraordinary, yes. I mean, One of the greats, yes, yes, all that. But I think at the end of the day, they say, well, what was he like as a man? What was he like as a human being? I think that's probably the test that he doesn't do well at.
He is a great talent who may have been misled by being so alone and being so much a world unto himself.
He lives very simply, doesn't leave his cave, you know, because that's where it goes on for him.
A Prospero who has kept people off the island. And I would venture to guess that the great challenge would be to have people come to the island. Then I think he might make a last great film.
After Orson Welles, you know, he's the only one left we really look to, you know, to invent things, to push the medium.
The structure making a movie imposes on your life when you're doing it, again, feels like it felt each time before. So there's a wonderful suggestive timelessness about the structure. I'm doing exactly the same as I was doing when I was 18 and making my first movie. It frees you from any other sense of time.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on.